Welcome to Ground Up Growth, where we share entrepreneurial insights, business strategies, and personal growth lessons to help listeners build success from the ground up.
Welcome back to Ground Up Growth. Today we have John Manning with Manning & Manning Construction. He is a general contractor here in Madison County. So, John, thank you for coming on.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Paul.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, how old you are, where you got going.
So I'm 30 years old. I grew up here in Madison, Ridgeland area. I went to Jackson Academy from kindergarten all the way through graduation. I met my wife at Jackson Academy. We were best friends in 10th grade, 11th grade, all at high school, and then started dating senior year and all the way through college. Went to Mississippi State.
How old are you?
I'm 30.
Okay.
So I went to Mississippi State, graduated in business administration, and that was in 2017. We got married 2 weeks after college graduation.
Really?
Yes. And which was a blast. The wedding was, because everybody was still in town, that type deal. So, I mean, it was, everybody showed up and it was.
Where'd y'all get married at? Like what town?
In Jackson. So
Okay.
we got married at First Baptist Jackson and then the South or something like that for the reception.
Yeah.
And then started my first big boy job as a project manager on one of my dad's clinics.
Okay.
So I didn't really know a whole lot about construction before starting that. It was more business related, and kind of went through that. We started that in June 1st of 2017 till about September, October of 2018.
Okay.
And so I told all my contractors, I said, look, I'm not trying to second guess you. I'm not, trying to be a smart ass. I'm just saying, I'm asking you a bunch of questions because I'm trying to learn.
Right.
And that was basically my school for construction. I learned on site. I felt like my 5-year-old son. I was asking them 800 different questions, about, every trade as we went through, why you do this, why use that material, this and that. And that really is how I learned, hands-on construction.
So there was no construction background in your family?
No. So my dad, he's a doctor here in town. My mom helps run his clinic. And so there's no construction at all. My grandfather was a farmer in the Delta, so it was brand new territory.
Really?
But I knew I wanted to do something like that. I don't like...
You knew that in college?
Yeah.
Or?
I knew... Well, I started doing some... Like, I worked for a flooring company in the summers.
Let me jump in.
Yeah.
Let's back up.
Yeah.
Did you have a job in high school?
Yeah. So actually...
So walk us through that.
My first job was working for my dad. He broke his ankle really bad in 2008. And he was an anesthesiologist working for a hospital. We were building a pump house behind my dad's lake, and we were putting on the last piece of sheathing on the top. Mm-hmm. And he was coming down the ladder and just fell wrong and twisted his ankle all the way around. And so he was in a hospital bed for 100 days and kind of was like, he didn't really like being an anesthesiologist. I mean, it was good money, but, wasn't what he wanted. Mm-hmm. He's more entrepreneur, wanted, kind of relationship with people. I mean, he put them to sleep, woke them up, gone.
Right.
And so he started in that time researching, newest stuff that's happening. And that's where he found out.
He's in the bed for 100 days.
Right.
He had the time.
Exactly. And he found out about venous laser ablation, spider veins, venous ulcerations, that type of stuff. And so all the ropey veins, spider veins on people's legs, he can fix and totally change their lives. And so he started that in 2008. He was working as an anesthesiologist during the day, then late afternoon at night, he would do that. And so after school, we would go up and to the office. He rented a little space in Flowood and did that. Mm-hmm. And that's where I kind of first saw the entrepreneurship business at 10, 11 years old of how to run a business, the commitment, work ethic you had to have to kind of start from nothing and grow.
Right.
And so, I mean, we would be up there. I mean, I'd clean instruments. I'd be cleaning the rooms, helping. I mean, my mom ran the office side of it.
Yeah.
And he did the,
So
medical
did
side.
he? I don't know you super well,
Mm-hmm.
and this is why I want to have people like you on. There's just so much that I can learn.
Yeah.
And so, did your dad? You saw that at a young age, 10, 11, 12, the entrepreneur part of it. And I don't know your dad. I'd love to meet him. Need to get him on here. And was he diligent in spending time like trying to teach you the entrepreneur type stuff, or was he pushing you to think outside the box?
It was more kind of the same way as I did construction. It was more watching, seeing what he did, and he's still big influence in both my brother and I's, business. He's our mentor, walks us, we go, we have questions,
Right.
He's just done it for so long and started multiple businesses since then. And so it's more of watching kind of, okay, this is how you do this, you got to get up and get after it.
But he would take the time and explain it if you had a question.
Right, absolutely. Kind of walk you through how to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
He really put that into my brother and my sister
At a young age.
at a young age.
So, man, I'm very interested to hear this and kind of your dad's approach on like schooling and stuff like that. So did he push you to go to college? And
He was kind of just a more natural. I mean, he obviously went to college being a doctor, but it's more of
Right.
a natural, like, okay, this is kind of the next step. I mean, should I have gone for construction? Do I need to have a business background? I wouldn't. I mean, having a business background is great,
right,
but I mean, do you have to go to college to be a general contractor? Absolutely not.
right,
I think the most value that I got was being that project manager, being on site, seeing everything.
right,
But having that business background to where you can know, finances, when the bids come in, stuff to do,
right.
business side of it, that was a great part of going to college. But I mean, I don't think everybody has to go to college to be a great general contractor.
So you worked for him 10, 11, 12.
And then I
Did you have any other
started
jobs
doing kind of construction jobs. I worked for a flooring company one summer, worked for a seawall company.
Installing floors?
Installing floors, installing.
What type of floors? Anything?
They were engineered wood
Engineered
floors.
wood floors.
And so we'd, scrape the concrete, get it all clean,
Yeah.
glue down, cutting, putting
Right.
it down, hammering them all in, doing all that type deal. And then I worked
So
for
how old were you when you were doing that?
16.
So was there a construction bug during that time?
So I started-
Did that light any?
Yeah, and
Any
I've
fire?
always kind of been handy,
Mm-hmm.
I would say, just by always watching my grandfather, my dad do stuff. I've always had kind of that handy, I can pretty much do anything type
Mm-hmm.
deal. I mean, when I was 12 years old, we built a fort in my backyard. So we had a big old backyard. Half of it was grass, half was woods. And we lived in Bridgewater, but it was a big, long backyard. And so they were building a house next to us. Well, I'm 10 years old. I got my 8-year-old brother. I'm like, hey, we're going to go build a fort. We'll just
With
use
the scrap wood next
some
door.
scraps, next door. And, I mean, we built like a 2-story fort where you can ramp off bikes. I mean, it was
Wow.
awesome. Well, my parents finally see what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, those are not scraps. And so they go over, get the builder, come over here, and he's like, oh, wow. I mean, we had 12 sheets of OSB. I mean, it was like, I'm telling you, I mean, we had roof on it. I mean, it was unbelievable. But I mean, that was kind of, I really like just, I don't know.
The hands-on.
Yeah,
side
the
of
hands-on part of it. And so I've always, and I did not want to be in office. I knew that.
Right.
I mean, going 9 to 5 in office, that would kill me. I like in construction how every single day is something new.
things. Right.
I mean, there's not 2 days to go
Yeah.
together. I mean, there's a new problem. I mean, that's being a general contractor, you're the problem solver.
Exactly.
And so there's always, when my phone rings, it's not, hey, we finished
Hey, happy
everything
birthday.
on. Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
fire. More
We
times than
finished
not.
everything on time. Everything's on budget, man. It was great. It was easy.
Yeah.
You know,
Just
my
wanna tell
phone
you thank
rings.
you.
Yeah. It's problems.
Problems.
And
That's
so
right.
how do we go about that
That's
problem?
similar to real estate. I tell our agents all the time, it's real estate is 90% problem solving.
Yeah.
You've got two parties that both want the end goal of feeling like they're winning.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to somehow pacify both sides of it. And basically, I mean, there's a lot of times you're playing Dr. Phil. You know,
yeah.
it's like just emotions. And
Yeah,
it's like,
absolutely.
I didn't really know this was part of the
That's the
part of
same
the
thing
job,
doing
you
a
know?
custom house. You're walking through
Oh.
with the homeowner, and I mean, you're holding their hand.
Yeah, I
Hey.
can imagine on a custom home
Yeah.
where it's like they're spending all the money they worked their
Yeah.
life for, and it's gonna have to be perfect. I can imagine
They're
that's-
walking in at the very beginning being like, whoa, that's not what we talked about. Well, we just started. Give me, a week or two and then look at it and
That
tell
also
me.
is telling you this
Yeah.
is fixing to be a long
That's right.
8, 12
That's right.
months or whatever it takes, depending on
right.
how big the house is. All right, so you did flooring installs at 16 years old. What did you do? There was another job after
I
that?
did rock seawall. That was a terrible job. That
Rock seawall.
Yeah. So we had to carry
that was a
down
terrible
literally 5-gallon buckets of concrete and place these rocks to where it was a decorative type.
Who did you work for doing that?
I can't remember. It was on the reservoir, and I got one of my high school buddies to go with me, and he hated me for that. But
So this is during the summer when you're at JA?
Yes. So this is, I guess, when I'm junior year. So
Okay.
this is when we're about to be the strongest we've ever been. So it was great for football,
Right,
but
yeah.
I mean, it was, every day we were having 5-gallon buckets of concrete and walking it down and placing boulders. And so that
That's
was
pretty cool.
not the best job, but
Right.
got me in the best shape.
There you
We'll
go.
say that.
Okay. So you did that,
Yep.
and then graduated from JA. Or
Yep.
did you have any other jobs between then, or
No, it was kind of more of,
moved into school?
kind of more of a play type summer type deal. Then went to state, was a semi-co up there. Really enjoyed time up there.
So you knew you didn't want to be in the office,
Mm-hmm.
but you got a bachelor in business administration. What was your thought process there?
Just learning business was because I knew, okay, if I I've looked in entrepreneurship a little bit. I mean, they had a lot of the similar classes, but there was one class that I was not going to do. It was long, like 8-hour class. So I'm like, no. So I went the little cheaper route there and went business administration. But I knew starting a business, it was good for me to have some type of business degree, know accounting, a little bit of finances, a little bit of everything, to where when I did start the business, I kind of had a little bit of a background
Yeah.
to where I wasn't going to be, all right.
So you had
How
a
do we
plan of
start?
starting a business when you were in college. You thought you were going to. You didn't know maybe what you were going to do, but that you wanted to.
Right. I
start
knew
something.
I wanted to do something because, like I said, at an early age, Dad was like entrepreneurship into us because it just it's the freedom, like you've talked
Yeah,
about before.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just freedom of your time. When you work for yourself, I mean, you can put as much work into it as you want to. And just allowing.
So was he pushing that? Like, was he influencing you to think outside the box?
Yeah,
and not
yeah.
be
Right. He always
chute,
pushed us
so
to
to
be
speak?
okay, how to be an entrepreneur, how to, don't always be 9 to 5. Think of something, he has multiple businesses. I've started multiple businesses. I mean, we kind of, what's next? What's the next move? It's not so much, greed as it is, people think, okay, he's got a lot of businesses, he got a lot of money, all that type deal. It's more of how do you start, starting something from scratch and seeing it grow. Mm-hmm. And the fun in doing that.
Yeah, the process.
Right. And so that's kind of where that kind of feeling came from.
Yeah,
Was,
Interesting.
okay, starting and growing something from nothing.
you're right.
And that's what I like about construction. I mean, we built a house. I mean, it was trees there. And then
Right.
at the end, now it's a beautiful house.
And a lot of people don't have the vision.
Right. And they
for
don't,
that.
well, and they don't see the end result. They're going to, 9 to 5. There's nothing wrong with that, but they're doing a task. They're not seeing the overall vision for it.
Yeah.
And so that's what I like about, starting a new business. You see the overall vision. You see the vision come true.
Yeah. End product. Yeah,
Right.
That makes good sense. So you have a general contractor's license or a residential?
I have a commercial
builder's?
general contractor's license, so I can build anything.
Yeah. I still got a residential builder's license. I got that because I graduated in management of construction and land development in '09 at Mississippi State, which I think they did away with that program shortly after I left. But kind of felt like that was what I was supposed to do, was get a license, and I got it. And I'm like, I need to hang on to that. And so, but I remember the general contractor being a whole nother deal. I remember the people that were taking that test had like banana boxes full of books. That
Oh,
were,
yeah. It's
going
like
in there. Was
20
that test tough?
It's like 22 something books, and it's open book, but 22 of them.
Right.
And you're timed, and it's that type deal, and they give you a lot of questions of, okay, configure concrete for a 3-story parking garage.
Right.
Yeah, skip. All right, on to the next one. We got to make a 70 here.
Right, yeah.
We ain't got to make 100. So it's yeah.
So you got that license when? What year was that?
So I got that
old were you?
in 2019. So that's when I started. So I did started the project management, doing the my dad's clinic, and in that time I knew, okay, this is kind of what I want to do. This is, I like this, I like how every day's different. I'm outside, get to do what I want. And so I was like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I need construction can be up and down. And so I'm like, okay, we need to have another source of income to, just keep us level.
Right.
And so I was looking at buying rental houses. I was like, okay, everybody that I know that's pretty wealthy has got rental houses, so it must be working. So I had looked at a house, put a offer in. They accepted it. We were going through that whole process.
This is in 2019?
This is in
Because I'm
2018.
2018. Okay.
So about, the summer of 2018. So
And you've been married how long?
a year.
Okay.
And so
And your wife, Caitlin, is she working?
she is working. She is running, or the office manager for my dad's women's hormone clinic that he had started. And so she was the front desk kind of manager for that. So I just trying to get that rental house, and the inspection comes
Where
back.
was it? What town was it in?
It was in Madison. I don't know I forget the subdivision. It was off of Hoy Road back that way. And the inspection came back. There's possible slab leak, all this type deal. All right, I'm out. I ain't gonna, this is my first one. I ain't gonna start with this. And so I was kind of down on that type deal, and was like, man, I really want to get something going. And my wife came to me and was like, she was going and getting boxes full for the whole clinic of loaded teas and meal replacement shakes from Madison Nutrition. Every day. That was like her first stop. She'd get everybody's order like the night before, go there, come back.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And so she was like, she started talking to Shanda about opening one, how much it took. And it was a relatively low investment.
Right. This is the same thing as like Tyler Moore we had on Stat Nutrition.
So they have Stat, I have Revive Nutrition.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay, this could be, the rental house type deal.
Right. Could fill the void of the ups and downs
And
of
so it just
construction.
everything just kind of fell into place. That came out, that building that I was finishing up, one of their tenants backed out. So there was now free space in there.
Oh.
And so it just kind of...
Where is this clinic at?
It's right behind Bank First on Highland Common,
Okay.
behind Mississippi Vein Institute.
Okay.
It's a 2-story building. That's the building where Revive is. And so that was kind of a
So what year was that you started Revive Nutrition?
That we opened the doors October 10th of 2018.
Okay. Because I'm very interested to see how this plays into, how COVID played into your construction and everything. So, anyway, so you started that in 2018.
Yeah. So we started that in 2018.
Who ran it?
So I put construction a little to the side, and I'm doing that.
Okay.
Behind the desk, making shakes, teas, everything. Mm-hmm. So I'm doing that all the way from 7 to 5, Monday through Friday, all the way till May of 2019. We have our son. I had a girl helping me go back and forth, and to where I could do little extra stuff. But she quit right before my son was born in 2019. Ooh. And so I had to get my sister-in-law, who was in residency at Jackson to be a doctor, to fill that void while I was at the hospital with our firstborn and wife. And then we worked it all out. But that happened in the summer of 2019. And then we got kind of our feet underneath us, got some girls to help us out. And then I got my license in April of 2019 and my general contractor license. And then kind of started, my first house was in Silverleaf subdivision. Mm-hmm.
It's a custom build or a spec?
It's a spec.
Okay.
So I just kind of bring the same guys that I knew that did my dad's building, had a good relationship with them, and kind of, again, just learning experience on, okay, we've done a commercial building, but we've never done a house.
So you just acquired a lot and
just to buy a lot, and here we go. Let's cut our teeth. This is my first thing that's on my own. I had a contractor for my dad's building. I'm the project manager, contractor, everything. Here we go. And so buckle up, build that, goes fairly well. Ended up selling that like 2 weeks after I finished.
Really?
And made a profit, which, that's a win.
That's a win. That's right. Baby steps.
And so then COVID happens in 2020.
March 2020.
Yeah. And so then that really, here comes all the mandates and, and at the time.
Supply chain.
Right.
Materials.
And so with Revive, it was one of those that, okay, we have some stuff in stock. One day it's gone for 2 months the next. And so it was, how do you, again, it's, problem solving.
Adapt and overcome.
And so, and you couldn't come in the facility, because of Mississippi. And so we had to bring everything out and do curbside. And so it was just kind of, okay.
Did you have to jump back in that role and be involved?
I was there pretty heavily.
But you were still building.
So
you finished the Silverleaf. Were you did you immediately jump into another construction project?
So I finished that in April of 2020, and I kind of
pumped the brakes
a little bit. I got to get, my stable income. We got to get that back stable.
We don't know what's going on in the world at this point,
and
too.
So,
everybody's doomsday.
And so we're trying to figure out, and at the time, my dad's pharmacy that he started outgrew they were on the first floor, and Revive was on the second floor, which was not the best. You'd want that to kind of come in and come out type deal. And so they want to come upstairs in our spot, and they want Revive to come down there. Well, so now we got to build out their part upstairs. Revive like in this like little closet that we got that just has our eye. I mean, we are literally in a closet.
Yeah.
With an ice maker, just trying to keep going.
Right.
And so we get moved downstairs, which was great because now we're in and out. They can drive up, come in, get their shake and tea, and out the door.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a curveball to get with supply chain of, okay, we got this 1 week. Okay, now we don't have it for 2 months. Now how do we make a tea, come up with something that doesn't have that product in it that we can
Right.
sell and say, oh, this is our new,
Right.
loaded T type deal. And so it's always, problem solving is how do you adapt and, okay, how do we keep moving forward? And then on the construction side is, okay, windows now are taking 20 weeks to get here.
Right.
Okay, well, I've way past, I'm framed out. I ordered my windows before I started concrete. I'm framed out. I can't move because the city wants me to have my windows and doors in. Mm-hmm. And then we finally made a deal with them to, okay, we can just visqueen it and keep going.
Right.
To where we could do some stuff in the inside. It was just, the chain.
Did you have a construction loan doing this stuff?
Yes.
So, I mean, that's a big component too. Because,
Yes.
I mean, interest is clicking
Interest
daily.
rates are up, and
Every day that goes by that you haven't sold a house, that
Yeah.
you're paying money, interest on a construction loan
Absolutely.
is eating your profit.
absolutely.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
that's got to be pretty.
So you got
trying
that you got
times.
that clock in the back of your head. Okay, how do I keep this moving forward?
Right.
We got to keep moving. When you stay stagnant, that's when bad stuff happens.
Right.
You're never stagnant. You're either moving forward or you're moving backwards. And so it's just how do you keep that next step going forward. And it's just, you talking with your building officials, you're talking with, other builders. How are y'all doing this? How are, and that's a big thing that has helped.
Back to what you were saying, on your first construction job, be vulnerable and ask, like, hey, what are y'all doing?
And that's I mean, I still do that to this very day. Constantly, I think the greatest thing to do is always ask for help and always be vulnerable, always be willing to learn. I think if you're not learning something new, how are you improving your business? So I'm constantly asking. I follow, on Instagram and TikTok, other construction companies, out of Florida or Alabama or, other places to see, okay, what are they doing differently than I'm doing?
Right.
How can I, just
I do this. I
piggyback
do
it.
the same exact. I think that's a really good point, and I think it's a good idea. I follow.
Yeah.
There's ranch brokerages out west that I feel like lead our industry in a lot of ways. That I always follow them, and they're totally different markets. They're resorts, and they're people are coming from around the world to buy places in Montana and Wyoming, whereas Mississippi, from a recreational land component, it's Mississippi people buying it, maybe Louisiana here and there, but people don't come from around the world to buy 100 acres in Madison County. Yeah. So, but learning, there's still stuff I can learn from those brokerages. And one of them is this podcast. One of those ranch brokerages has a podcast, and I think there's benefits and little tidbits that you can take out of that. So I agree with you.
And also not just construction, but other business owners, asking, what's been beneficial marketing wise for you. And even though that doesn't apply to your industry, you still get something. Mm-hmm. Just talking with other business owners, surrounding yourself with other business owners, you're going to get something that, oh, I like that. Mm-hmm. I can incorporate that. There's been several instances on marketing or, being a, custom builder, you got to constantly get new people to build houses for. So, being able to acquire, okay, this is why Manning & Manning's different than X, Y, and Z.
Right.
This is my process.
So how did you wade through the COVID deal? Where did you?
So I started building, my dad and a couple other business partners started the Village at Madison. And it's right behind Half Shell, that whole deal, right on Main Street. And so I started building in there. It's all zero lot lines, kind of a different build, than building on a half-acre lot. You got places to put stuff. Here, you got 5 feet between you and your neighbor. So how you going to, put lumber there? It's a different. It's always, I'm always looking for something different. Okay, how can I, always improve? And so that's kind of been really good for me.
Is that a speculative deal too, building spec homes, or is
it's
that
actually
customs?
More custom in there? It's more people that are retiring. They're got their kids are here. They live here, but they have a 6,000 square foot house in Reunion or Bridgewater. They don't need that.
Right.
They need a guest house.
They want to downsize, have something really nice, but also be close to the amenities.
Right. I mean, you can walk to a church, walk to a bank, walk to the grocery store. Everything you need is right there. And so it's a very good development.
Yeah.
Good location, and it's growing, which is great.
So we're out of the COVID deal, and it's been really good since. That's awesome.
Yes.
So what about Revive? Do you have more than those two businesses?
So I'm a partner with my brother. He kind of runs majority of it in Mississippi Smart Homes. So he goes into...
Your family is just entrepreneur to the core.
Yes. He has a degree in biomedical engineering and software engineering.
How old is your brother?
He is 27, about to be 28.
Wow.
So we couldn't be more polar opposites. He was a student body at Mississippi State. I mean, he's got both engineering degrees, minors, and all that type deal. I'm like,
yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah.
He's got the brains. I got the street smarts.
There you go.
And so,
so y'all are co-owners in Mississippi Smart Homes. And what does that do?
They go into people's houses and make them smart. You can say, "Hey Google, turn off lights." All lights turn off. "Hey Google, set my thermostat to 70 degrees." It sets it to 70 degrees. And I can do that right now from my phone anywhere in the world.
Oh, wow.
And so I can look at my cameras. I got cameras all the way around my house. I can see 360 degrees. I can see what the heat and cooling is in my house. I have lights to where I can turn them on and off from my phone. I mean, it's been really, really cool to see that business kind of...
When did y'all start that?
So that was 5 years ago.
So right
2020, yeah. And so he started that right out of college. He started that business, and it has constantly grown over time to where he's starting to be more of a, hey, when you build a house, you go pick out your plumbing fixtures, electrical fixtures, go to Mississippi Smart Homes, pick out your smart home stuff.
Yeah, that probably works great in tandem with you. I mean, like you're in the construction side, and then hey, it's just a bolt on to what you already are doing.
Exactly. So in majority of spec homes that I build, there is smart home components in there. So I put, just enough to get you interested, and then there is a whole rabbit hole worth of stuff you can go down into. Man,
that's awesome. That's an incredible journey, and then I'm sure your wheels are turning on other stuff as well. So I'm interested kind of in the second half of this podcast to just talk about different things, that from a learning perspective, and then just I'm curious, what does your day look like? What time do you get up?
So I'm not the biggest early riser. I'm about 6:30 type of guy. I'm more of a night owl type guy.
6:30 and a loaded tea.
Yes, absolutely. So I have 4 kids. I have a 5-year-old that's about to be 6, John Michael. I have my oldest girl, Blakely, that's about to be 4 on Sunday. And then I have a pair of twins that are boy and a girl, Luke and Emerson, that are be 8 months.
In the thicket.
So we kind of, in the morning, Caitlin stays home with the twins. I take the big ones to school, run by Revive, get my tea, check on everything there. Then I go work out at Coyote CrossFit, and then here we go. Start the day.
So, what's the rest of the day look like? Just whatever the day brings with the construction?
That's
problems?
It's okay. Let's look at the phone calls, the text messages, emails. It's always something.
And almost, I'm sure it's probably a lot like my days are. I may have a day where I don't have anything planned, and I may think I have the opportunity to go golf or whatever. But it's like, really, it's just getting down in a 3-point stance, getting ready for the day.
Oh, yeah.
Because everybody holds their fires till the next day.
I really don't know what my day is going to look like until about 8 o'clock. That's when all the subs are texting me, okay, this is what we got, phones are ringing, emails are going, texts are going, and it's just like, okay, this is what we, I thought I was going to, take off at lunch. Well, no, we got fires to put out.
Right. Yeah. What's a challenge that you faced in the industry here lately since COVID that you can think of?
With the interest rates that are going up, and they're coming down slowly, but, just people that are just getting people to buy the product that you're putting out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a solid product. I do specs and, just getting people, okay, it's going to be okay. Yes, it's going to cost a little bit more, but, it's always going to cost more.
Right.
I mean, materials going up, labor is going up constantly.
Yeah.
And so, the interest rate might be lower for this person, but
we see that all the time. Like, it never feels like the time to do and make a move. But, when I graduated in 2009, I remember coming out, and it was right when houses were right at $100 a foot. It was like 99, and they were creeping over 100. And I just remember everybody, like all my friends, everybody's like, man, I'm not paying $100 a foot for a house. I'm not doing it. Like, and it's, man, now we've crossed over 200.
Oh, yeah.
And it's
and
just,
then in the village,
but
we're
it's never
300.
a good time, and right. And so it's like, it's so easy to talk yourself out of doing something.
Absolutely.
And, be it something like that. All right, houses are over $200 a foot. That's ludicrous. I'm not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you look at it, if you back up, and this was 7 or 8 years ago, I was talking to a guy, and it was $1,100 a foot to build in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And so when you look at that, and then you say, all right, we're at the time, $125, $130 a foot, it doesn't seem that bad. Like, there's room to grow. If it's $1,100 in Jackson Hole and we're at $130, there's room to go up. No different than farmland. Farmland in Iowa is $18,000 an acre. Well, farmland in the Mississippi Delta, has gone from 4, 5, 6, 7. I talked to a guy the other day that sold a tract for $9,000 an acre, a big tract. I'm not talking about a small tract. And you would say, man, that's lunacy. Was $18,000 in Iowa.
Yep.
And that's been 2 years ago. So, and now I think the last price I heard in Jackson Hole was $3,500 a foot. So
it's only going up. I mean,
it's only
you can
going up.
compare apples and oranges. I mean,
Right.
the interest rate's lower over here, but the actual sales price is going to always be higher now.
Right.
I mean, it's constantly, you're not going to find to where house prices are going to start dropping.
Yeah.
Automatically, like, oh, okay, well, no one's buying, we're just going
Right.
start nosediving. That's just not gonna happen.
And even in 08, 09, I didn't get in the real estate game until 2011, but I mean, I've studied this stuff. And 08, 09, in our market, the prices went stagnant. You didn't take 50, you get into these resort, tourist market, vacation markets, those lost up to 40, 50% equity overnight during 08, 09. But you think about it, like if somebody has a house and then they've got their ski house out in Colorado, well, the first thing they're going to let go is the fun stuff. They're not going to let go. The house that they live in is the last thing they're going to let go.
Absolutely.
And so, I feel like our market is insulated. If it went through 08, 09 and we didn't take those kind of haircuts, the day-to-day, year-to-year, it's going to continue. We see a 3, 4, 5% annual appreciation across the board for the last 30 years.
Yep.
I mean, you got a few blips here and there, and you got blips in the upswing. COVID, we gained 25. Our rental houses went up 25%.
That was a good time
in less than 18 months.
Yep.
And so I think our market in Mississippi as a whole, especially the macro or micro markets, we're in a really good spot. And I just don't think, to your point, it may seem like a premium value right now, and it may be a premium value, but it's going to continue to rise irregardless of what's going on.
If you had that little glass ball that could tell you the future, it doesn't look so bad right now.
Right.
I think it's only going to go up. It's not going to come down.
John, is there any myths or misconceptions about the construction industry that you would like to debunk? Catch you off guard with that one?
Yeah, a little bit. Let's see if I can see if any myths.
Is there, I mean, I feel like just from the outside looking
Yeah.
in, it's like it always costs more than the builder said it's going to cost. It's always going to take longer than it always costs. Like, is there anything that sticks out to you that's like,
There are always things
or
that are
things that you do at Manning and Manning that
out
break
of
the
your
mold?
control.
Right.
You know, I mean, when it comes to taking longer, I mean, there was, you know, in the summer, I forget what summer it was, the wettest summer we had. It was, I mean, you couldn't pour a foundation. I mean, it rained every other day. And so, and then when it comes to pricing, I mean, we try to get it down, you know, to the best price we can. We try to do the proper takeoffs, but I mean, if we need, you know, we can't tell you exactly how many 2x4s are going to go in that house. And so, I mean, there's going to be some stuff that are out of our control, but we try to at Man and Manning get down to, okay, here's the budget, and we have it line itemed. Okay, here's your site work. This is what entails in your site work. Here's your foundation. This is what we're thinking the foundation is going to cost. To where we're very transparent.
Transparency.
We want you to feel just as comfortable, you know, if you were building my house, you know, for me. And so I mean, it's very, you know, there's no gray area. It's black and white. Here it is, you know. And we stand by everything we do. If we mess up, that's on us.
Right.
I mean,
And owning that is key.
I mean, you have to, that's the biggest thing. That's another thing Dad taught us is if you mess up, you make it right. And you do better than make it right, you know? And that's been, he's just put lots of little things in our head, you know, over the
nuggets along the
time.
way. Yeah.
Another one is, you know, don't fixate on the money. So, you know, when I'm building a house, oh man, I'm going to make $50,000, you know, if I get this house, that's going to be good. Focus on, okay, how can I build this house the best quality, best way I can?
Yeah.
And as a result, the money will come.
The money will come. The
Right.
referrals will come.
That's right. So focus on, I mean, yeah, you need
Because in your industry and that, you know, custom home, I would think just like, I mean, real estate's this way. I mean, I tell agents all the time, there's no secret sauce to, you know, they're like, how do I get going? How do I gain traction? Whatever. I mean, to this day, I mean, I spend all the money on the billboards and do all those things, but I would literally say 85%, if I had to throw a dart, 85% of my business comes from my sphere of influence and referrals thereof.
Absolutely.
And I would imagine it'd be the same way, because I can't tell you, I get calls all day long, just being in the real estate industry and involved in the whole housing part of it. It's like, hey, I need a good painter. Do you know a good painter? Do you know a good surveyor? Like, I get those referral based, and they're gonna, if I send you that contact, you're gonna use them. Not, I mean, unless it, you know, 9 times out of 10 you're gonna use it. I would imagine it would be the same way in the custom home building. And to go to your point of don't fixate on the money, focus on building the best thing that you can build, having the best experience with that client, to where that client's going to turn and say, you know, Manning and Manning, they built this house and they did a phenomenal job. And I would recommend, because I can't tell you how many times, and I feel like the construction industry, home building, because you're married to that client. If you're building a custom home, you're married to that client for 8 to 12 months, you know, and so you get really close, and the
Plus,
emotion,
you have your warranties after that.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
and your the emotions end up coming out. So I can't tell you how many times it's like the client and the home builder,
Absolutely.
they don't speak after that. And so, like, my house, Wade Brazil built my house, and we have a really good relationship. And after the build, if you still have a relationship, that says a ton about the
that's
builder.
the biggest, you know, it takes years to build a reputation, one client to ruin you.
That's it.
And so it's just, you know, when I close on a house, I give you a folder. And in that folder, it has all the subs that worked on your house, their phone numbers. So if you have a problem, call them. And if you don't get them, you call me and I'll get them there.
Wow. That service after the sale like that is because there's so many builders that, like, they get that If I don't close on it, they're gone. Like you don't
Contacts deleted. It's over.
I have personally had that experience where I had a builder that built my first house and nowhere to be found.
Yeah. And in there, it's got the paint colors, where the paint colors go. I mean, I try to, all your warranties on everything that are filled out. Here's the date they were done. I try to give, okay, the best service that I possibly can. What can I do? I'm always thinking, okay, how can I make the client happier? How can I go above and beyond just building their house? What can I do to make them feel like, man, this is different than any other builder.
Yeah. That's awesome. What's the best advice you've been given in business?
I would say another piece would be don't have a plan B. And what I mean by that is when your back's against the wall and you got, in your business, okay, I'm going to start this business, and if it doesn't go well, I'll just go back to my 9 to 5. Well, when your back's against that wall and you're got the door right there, it's a whole lot easier to go out that door and be like, you know what, I'm done. I'm going to back to my 9 to 5. Or am I going to fight for this business? And because every business, you're going to have your valleys and you're going to have your peaks.
Right.
And it's about how do you come out of that valley. And so, it's a lot easier to, when you got that plan B in the back of your head, okay, well, it's not worth it. We gave it a good run. Or are you going to fight for the business and let's go?
Oh,
put your hard hat on and let's work for it.
That makes me want to get in a 3-point stance right now.
Exactly.
Now, but I mean, that piggybacks just what we just said about, building a house at $200 a foot. It's so easy to talk yourself out of doing something.
Mentality. It's all mentality. You got to have a different mentality to being a business owner.
Yeah. That's right. No, I agree with that 100%. And one thing that's always stuck out to me is motivation. You cannot create motivation. So you either have it or you don't. But if you got it and you lean into it, I mean, there's so many things that just go in that bubble, like your passion, different things. Like if you're passionate about what you're doing and you're motivated and you get put in a tight spot against the wall, for somebody that puts their head down and goes full speed, you better get out of the way.
That's right.
I think it is. And having that, because you're going to have doubt, you're going to have naysayers, you're going to have opposition, you're going to have people that say, I don't know if I'd risk it. I don't know if I'd do this and that. And, the people that put their head down, plow through it, come out on the other side. And then those same people that were doubting it are the same people that are saying, must be nice.
Yeah.
Must be nice.
And that's the same thing, going back to my dad. I mean, he was an anesthesiologist making good money at the hospital. And, man, you're going to walk away from something guaranteed from that to start that?
Right.
Are you kidding me? And now, I mean, it is skyrocketed. I mean, he's got, I can't even tell you how many businesses now. I mean, it's just been, just starting that thing and the life change and the time freedom.
Right.
I mean, it's been unbelievable,
Man, that's awesome. And it's so good to hear because, I struggled with that in my story of, when I was doing the water damage and motor mediation, I was just come out of college and I started off making $24,000 a year, which I graduated in 2009, couldn't find a job. And that was just, I had to take what I could get. But I worked my way up through that stuff and got some ownership in the company over the years. But I remember I was making $80,000 a year. I had a company truck. I had health insurance. And I don't remember how old I was at the time. I was a couple of years out of college, so probably 25, 26. But my friends that were, staff accountants and different, they were making $45,000 a year. Here I am making $80,000 a year with a company truck, with a gas card, with health insurance. Man, I was pretty free. And whenever I was considering going into real estate, I had a lot of reserve about I felt bad. Like I'm like, my friend, a lot of people would break their ankle to be put in the position I'm in. And I'm talking about giving it away, but I had a bigger vision and I had a bigger passion. And those were spooky times. But in the same breath, when I committed to doing it, I committed to your point, and, man, man, I just think that's so powerful. Well, we're about out of time, but I really appreciate you coming on, John.
Absolutely. Thank you for
hearing
having
your
me.
story, man. And I wish you all the success with your
appreciate
future.
it.
I know this isn't going to be your last business, so
I hope not. I hope not.
I'm interested to see what you got coming next. So I really
appreciate it.
appreciate it, man.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.